So we'll get started. So today, as Katinska mentioned, we're going to be chatting about period poverty. I'm more than happy for this to be a yarning sort of session as well. So if you have anything that you want to say, jump in and feel free to comment. But just to start with, on the topic of period poverty, I'd really like if everyone could type into the chat or yell out on what you think of when you hear the words period poverty. Let's give everyone a sec. Yeah, so Claire's added into the chat there about a lack of knowledge or access to products, which I think is important. Does anyone else have any other comments? Yeah, lack of access again. Hannah's made a really good point there about lack of access to period products due to socioeconomic status.
Yeah.
Infections, sure, that can come up. Thanks. How about yourself, Tiska? What do you think of?
Yeah, just to repeat what everyone else has said. Yeah, not being able to access period products. So
So the sort of definition I'm going to be working off today is something that has been covered in the responses we got there. And it's a lack of access to menstrual products, hygiene facilities, waste management, and education. And this is all around the theme of periods and menstruation. So this sort of idea has always existed and there has always been a kind of discussion on period poverty, but it's definitely gaining momentum. So in the last year, sorry.
Oh.
All right, so just in the last year, there's been quite a few big things that have been happening on period poverty. So it was the 50th session of Human Rights Council, and in that, Australia made a statement saying they're committed to ensuring menstruation can be managed safely and with dignity for all. And in this, they committed $118.9 million for a Water for Women fund, which is about menstrual hygiene management systems. I haven't really looked in specifically to what that fund's doing, but that was quite a strong statement to be saying in this space. The World Health Organization as well, on the following day, made a statement on menstrual health and rights. This is recognising menstrual health as a health and human rights issue rather than a hygiene issue. So they wanted to change the sort of locus of control from accessing proper facilities to the human rights of it. So being able to access information and education as well as those facilities, including competent care and the ability to fully participate in social and work activities while on periods. And this as well, they wanted to ensure that work plans and budgets are dedicated to this and that performance on this issue was measured so that they would actually be reporting on countries' abilities to fulfil these goals. And then upcoming just next week, which I'll be attending and you guys are welcome to attend as well, is the Global Period Poverty Forum, which is going to be in Brisbane. It's the first time this forum's happening, and there's going to be 42 speakers from around the globe talking about how to end period poverty. So there's a few different themes there that are going to be happening for each day. You can buy a full ticket, so you can go to Brisbane and go there. You can buy a full online ticket, or you can buy just for one day. You can buy a ticket for each day. So yeah. But a little closer to home, so that's kind of like the global place that's been sitting at the moment. But there's also been quite a lot of stuff happening in Australia. So Kimberly and Clark did a big study in 2021. This is on school students and university students showing their kind of experience of menstruating. So that showed that 40% of students were afraid they were going to be made fun of when they're on their period. 30% skipped their school because they didn't have access to products, and 63% found it hard to change products while at school. That's pretty alarming statistics, I'd say.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So the response to this, WA government's response was to provide the free sanitary products, which is going to be piloting next year. This is, to be honest, a little bit slow on the uptake. Other states have already implemented this, as have quite a few other countries, but hopefully that'll help out some students in WA. Yeah, I don't know. I myself, when I read that study, found it pretty alarming that 63% of people menstruating are finding it hard to change their products. And as someone who menstruates would know, you need to change those products fairly frequently. I think the recommendation is like 3 to 4 times a day, depending on how heavy it is. So that's pretty upsetting that 2/3 of people are finding it really hard to do that. As well, there was a menstrual health hygiene yarning circle in 2018. This was Indigenous led and in Meanjin in Brisbane. It was barriers to mental health hygiene. Came up with quite a few things. But mostly the issues raised were about housing and access, disposal facilities, supply chain issues with weather, and this being really compounded for certain groups, such as children in boarding school, or those who are young mums, or those who are homeless. They really led kind of the call for community controlled research in this area. And they also asked for ensuring ongoing product distribution, awareness, and community design education. They wanted to lobby government for menstrual equity, and they wanted to engage with Aboriginal Australian people who menstruate for leading roles in this space. And then there is also the National Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Women's Alliance. They're quite a large group, but their key activity number 7 for 2021 was to distribute feminine hygiene and sanitary products to remote Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander communities. And they attended that yarning circle, and they've been a group that advocate and empowers the voices of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander women in Australia in this space. So more specifically though, so that's the policy and kind of the landscape where this is sitting. But the actual issue, the crux of it, if you look through all these studies, it comes to similar themes. So there's quite a lot of shame and taboo around this subject. Comprehensive culturally safe puberty education for both genders is missing, and for all genders. So the puberty education that's being received isn't really covering what's required for a lot of things, as I'm sure you guys have all chatted about before. There's also been you guys all able to hear us? Tracy's having some issues.
Oh, your mic's off.
I can hear you okay.
You can hear
Okay.
us?
Awesome, thanks guys. So the other issues here as well is in response to housing. So there's some significant overcrowding and people are living across multiple locations. So that's making having access to all the period products you require quite difficult. And then as well, a lack of privacy due to overcrowding. So it's quite hard to be able to, if it is something that is found shame or taboo in your family, or in the place you're living, it's quite hard to privately experience that. Which I'm sure we can all attest to.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's hard enough when you're in a grumpy mood to also have to hide that you're in a grumpy mood for a certain reason. Then there's your sort of water and sanitation hygiene. So there's the lack of necessary disposal methods.
Yeah.
So being able to, there's problems with people flushing tampons and pads and undies that get dirty. There's not like a discreet way to dispose of them, especially in those sort of overcrowded houses. And then the disposal method as well, like are the bins actually being picked up, and are the municipal services there? Logistically as well, there's the issues of discretion when buying products, especially when you're in small towns or small communities. In these towns and communities as well, there's a high financial cost. So same as with food and with anything, you get those added travel miles. And just because the demand's always going to be there for these sort of products, it's an easy thing to raise the price on. And seasonal disruptions to the supply chain. With all these issues, it leads to school absenteeism, and in some studies from speaking to health workers, it was found that it's just a lower health priority when they're competing with multiple other issues. So if you've got someone in who, for example, has really quite bad diabetes, you're going to want to try and tackle that before you talk to them about their period, which like makes sense, but it's a little bit of a shame.
Yes. Yeah. It's hard.
Yeah. So I guess the call to action for you guys, so what can ARCHA staff or people working in health do? The main thing is just educating, advocating and providing feedback. So when you're educating, make sure you provide good education on menstruation and menstrual hygiene to your clients. And it's important just not just youth and those who are in that puberty transitional phase, but for all those who menstruate. So if they've missed that education as a youth, it's still good to get it at any time during your life when you're menstruating. We've been having some yarns lately about how when you learn certain things.
Yeah.
And,
Puberty is not the only time that you can.
definitely not the only time when you can learn. When you're doing those educations as well, it's good to educate about what's normal and what's not to be scared of, what's not normal and who you should talk to when that occurs. And then the wide range of products available. So we're living at a time where there's so many products you could be using. So there's your pads, your tampons, cups, underwear, and many more. And then letting them know where those products are available. So you can get them usually just at your local Coles or Woolies or shop anywhere. There's some places have period vending machines, so you can get the period packs. Or you can order online, or how you can access them in your location. And then lastly, how to dispose of those products effectively as well, to make sure that we're not having people flushing them down the plumbing and ruining plumbing.
Yeah.
In regard to advocate, you can advocate by educating those around you, so other staff you're working with, or your general community, and talking to those in your practice about what more could be done in this space, chatting more to your community about what could be done, and try to just break down that shame and taboo, because it's easier if everyone's talking about it. And then feedback. Let us know. Let you know what's going on the ground so that we can feed this back to policy and government. You can go directly to policy and government as well if you'd like. But yeah, we're happy to be led by you all on what you want us to do in this space and what you want to see. Yeah. And then a bit more on what else is out there. So there's quite a few things happening in this space at the moment. Some ones that we've recognised is the Happy Boxes project, which is a Northern Territory-based program that works all over Australia. They do donations of self-care products and like basic toiletries and like moisturisers and perfumes and notebooks and just those little luxuries. And their aims are on the slide there. Oh, if your community is in need for this and you would like to see your community represented and be a recipient of some Happy Boxes, you can email the email provided, hello@happyboxesproject.com. This is a really awesome program, but it is volunteer based, so the support they can provide varies on donations.
Yep.
Yeah. I don't know, has anyone been a recipient of the Happy Boxes project before? I'm going to take that as a no. Another emerging thing in this field is the Fierce Tinder Club. So that's founded by Proud Yorta Yorta, Jaja Warong and Gamilaroi. Gamilaroi. That's a movement that addresses, oh my gosh, sorry about the typos, period poverty experienced by Aboriginal people who menstruate. Her work's to design, develop and produce culturally inclusive, Australian-made, sustainable sanitary items and loungewear with a public health focus and social enterprise model. So this is still emerging, but I'd follow the Instagram for updates and to see what happens in this space because it's looking quite exciting. As well, there's the Share the Dignity vending machines that I mentioned before. So these are vending machines that you can get in your service or in your town, which dispose a free period pack containing 6 tampons and 2 pads. If you want to get one of these, you just need to fill out an expression of interest form. That's been linked there, but we can also send that out.
Yes. With the vending machines, do they
There's
cost?
no,
Or
I
is it just-
don't think so. I think
Is it just a reporting that people have to?
no.
We'll have to look into that one and get back to you, because I remember looking at it
And there was something that had to be done.
a while ago, and I can't remember if it was a case of you get the vending machine in your service for free, but then you have to report on how many times
Like
it's been, the use of it, or
Or it was a cost-based thing.
it might have been, and I can't remember what the case was with refilling it.
We'll look into that more and get back to
Absolutely.
you. But yeah, it's something that's in a few arches at the moment.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, still
still
great to have.
a great thing to have.
Yeah.
As well, that does have a 10-minute lockout period. So if someone dispenses something, it then won't dispense for another 10 minutes to stop people just pressing the button and throwing things around. Another thing, as I mentioned, next week is the Global Period Poverty Forum. So if you want to join me online for that, feel free. I think it's a $300 ticket, or it's $100 for a single day. Or you can apply for a scholarship as well. I think it's a 200-word application. That's all the things I had to say on it, but I'd love to hear more about what you guys have experienced in regards to this and what it's like at your services.
Yeah.
Does anyone feel like going first?
I just thought I'd ask, I'm not sure if you guys know the answer to this, but I know that sometimes Woolies has like collection boxes where you can donate products. Is that connected to one of those, like maybe Share the Dignity or one of those
It's Share the Dignity.
initiatives?
Yeah, it is Share the Dignity.
Yeah.
So you can
okay.
also organise them at your workplaces.
Oh, the dignity drives, yeah.
Dignity drives, yeah. So
Yeah.
they run it, at Woolies, at workplaces, at universities and schools.
Mm.
Sorry, it's Claire here. I was just wondering, do you know with the trial that they're doing with the products, will some of the regions be involved in that as well, or is that really, obviously it's going to be heavily metro based, but do you know if they're using any of the regional schools for that?
They haven't said at this
Okay.
time. I was trying to look into that, but they're yet to announce any pilot sites or any.
Okay. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
No, that's really good though. It's great. Yeah.
Yeah, super exciting, and hopefully they will trial it at a few regional as well to actually.
See if people
Spread it
are
out.
accessing them.
Yeah, people who have a lot of difficulty accessing them.
Yeah.
Wasn't one of the, was it Victoria that's made products free at schools?
Yes, that's what that's what WA is going to be doing as well. So
Yeah.
Victoria's done it. I think Queensland's done it.
But I think one of the states, it might be Victoria, they've rolled it out like across all
Completely.
schools. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is very good.
Yeah. Super exciting to see that maybe we might be following that as well.
Hopefully everybody.
Does anyone else have any comments they'd like to make on it, or?
If I might ask a question, but it's actually for Lindley, if you don't mind answering.
Good.
I don't know, like, when we do like sex education sessions in community, like if I've got a chance, and usually if I'm in a group with some young girls, like I'll bring up periods and try to have like products on hand just so they can see what we've got, what options are available to them. Is that something that you do as well down south?
Yeah, we actually go into the schools and we do an actual whole session on periods, looking at, the lining, and we go into detail of the women's body parts as well, and really give a pictorial and factual and clear, concise information to the students to make sure they understand about periods and that it's actually a normal part of your body and not to be ashamed about it, and it's actually a celebration of coming into womanhood, and that it's a sacred thing in Aboriginal community as well, that should be celebrated more often. And also where to come and get help for stuff when there's no one else to turn to get these products. We try and every time we get whatever donations, we try and give them out to the girls and the high schools in particular. And we find a lot of women don't discuss like a lot of things with like heavy flow and how you can work through that with your GP and options for you as a woman. Not, there's things like the pill and that can, help slow that down and not feel that shame of, you're wearing a super pad.
Yeah.
Basically.
Like you're wearing a nappy.
Yeah. And a lot of the girls, they feel empowered after our sessions because we're so open and honest, and whatever questions they have, particularly my manager, Jem, she's a big advocate for women's health, and she's always making sure the girls are, informed and the information's correct. It's an actual like a hour session we do with the students from year 7s to year 12s. So we don't do primary schools because of the Mudich Me stuff that comes into it. But it's actually seeing the girls' faces light up, like, that you're not alone. We're all women together, and just to be proud of your body.
Yeah.
That's a big empowerment on itself as well, and just opening those conversations for them to have conversations with their mums, their grandmothers, anyone basically that can relate to them on a period and that menstrual basis, basically. Is that answer your question?
Oh, I'll go
Absolutely.
that.
Like,
Yeah, that does.
more than what I was. Thank you. That's really good to hear as well, especially because like it is, a shame topic. And it's like sometimes the barrier can be like with our older generations as well. And so like now, like if we can talk about it younger, then we feel comfortable talking about it like with our like mothers and grandmothers and hopefully sisters as well.
That's right. It's
like-
creating that safe space for the girls to open up.
Yeah.
And just navigating the room feeling and tones. And, in our classes, we give the kids the option they can leave at any time if they don't feel comfortable. So it's creating that environment straight away, and then they'll open up and we can discuss those really sensitive topics. And all the parents know about it as well, and they've signed off,
Yeah.
So it's a big community thing. Everyone's involved and they know about it, and the elders. So yeah, it's just a trickle down process to get to the younger ones. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there any work or advocacy or any projects relating to sort of campaigning for more flexibility for women who do have to take time off work? Like I know I saw your stats that I think it said 30% of girls miss school because of their periods. And I know like my mum and my sister both have, endo, and they both, spent a lot of their life having to, miss at least a day of work or school every month. And I know that there's a lot of other women, and, particularly in communities where we're trying to increase school attendance in the first place, obviously that's like just another barrier. So is there, do you know if there's any work being done to kind of promote greater flexibility or anything like that?
Yeah, I just Googled it because I vaguely remember that. So I just found it was in June that there was some advocacy around it. There's a legislation that's been proposed about being able to access 3 days of paid leave a month for menstrual leave, but you need a medical certificate.
Yeah.
Great. But yeah, so we'll see where it goes.
Yeah.
But
mean,
Yeah.
it's progress, I
Definitely.
suppose.
Yeah, it's definitely an evolving space at the moment, and it's got quite a lot of attention right now. So it's a space that there probably will be quite a bit of policy happening.
Yeah.
And that, like, the global forum's happening in Brisbane, so it's the first forum and it's worldwide in Australia. So that's pretty awesome.
Not bad.
Very
Yeah.
exciting.
All right. Well,
Right,
thank you
it's-
all. Oh, sorry.
It's Tracy from
You go,
sorry.
Tracy.
I was you just talking to Hannah about the school program thing?
No, we were talking about like work leave and stuff. But
Oh,
Lindsay
no,
was
no,
talking
no, the
about
one
school
before
program.
that.
Oh yes, yeah, yeah. Lindley was talking about school programs, and how we bring up those conversations in schools.
I'd love to have a chat with her if I could get some contact details for her. If that's all
Yeah,
right with
that's
you,
all right.
Hannah?
Yeah.
That was Lindley, I think.
that was-
that was
yeah,
having-
Lindley, you're
yeah,
Oh,
good.
that was Lily. Oh, I'm sorry.
that's all right.
Oh, good.
So am I able to just get her details so I can have a chat with her, because I'm going into the school in the next term, and I like some of her ideas. Yeah, if that's okay.
Yeah, it's fine. Like, it's sharing ideas is like the best thing ever for,
Oh, yeah, it is.
because that's what we do too. Like, what works for your community. Like, if someone else is doing something that's working, then why not share it as well?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why I like this forum, and I
Mm.
like into it, because it gives you really good ideas. Like, I've had ideas before about other things with the sexual health stuff, but I like the hygiene,
Yes.
going in to do the hygiene first before you go and do the sexual health.
Yep.
So
That's what
deadly. Yeah.
that's what we like. That full block in that school is like that lead up to that sexual health, but then the girls are finding out how to wash themselves correctly as well, and
Yeah, that's
dispose
right.
of all the other stuff, because no one tells them.
Yeah.
You just
Because
I
I'm
know.
going into, sorry,
No, you're right.
I'm going in to do the shooting stars
Yep.
this next
yeah.
school term. So
Yep.
that'll just really, because I was just going to go in and do sexual health, but I just like the idea of doing the hygiene first. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah,
Very
you
good.
got to start that basic stuff before that other really sensitive stuff, so then
Yep.
you can build that trust with them to talk about the other stuff too. Yeah.
No.
I'm excited for you, Tracy.
I'll pass your contact details on to Tracy Lindley. But
Thank you.
No, all good. If that was all the questions or comments, we'll leave it at that. Thank you all for coming along today, and I hope you have a good week, and we'll see you next week.
See ya.
Bye.